Hi. 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 So, so, right. Cool. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you've asked. I agree. I couldn't agree more, actually. So, I let's give you a preamble of what the stream's actually about, I suppose. So, yesterday I did a stream called SVN in 2026, which was a very long-winded way of saying no, don't use SVM in 2026 because you shouldn't, unless you fit through a very small. Sorry, well, ice in my mouth. Unless you fit a very small Venn diagram of people who probably need SVN in 2026, don't use SVN in 2026. But then I went and started going into the alternatives that I was actually legitimately looking at, which was, and I was going, it was Jiu-Jitsu and Fossil. And I was going to go Fossil first, but then I realised I spent so long on the stream very slowly explaining why SVN is kind of dog shit that I didn't even get into the Fossil bit. So I did it offline, in my own time, away from the prying eyes of the no one who watches this, and I had a play, and I'm now going to report back my conclusions and start moving over some dot files into Fossil, which I actually had a bit of a go at. And I've started writing some documentation because I might also do a video on it in addition to Cocoon, or at very least I'll do like a blog article which will do like a very rough quick start guide. Because the thing with unpopular, and this is also unpopular software, is a lot of the resources are kind of shit, and Google's gotten to such a state where finding anything, especially like second order information, is bad, or like older slightly more obscure information is really deprioritized. So technical documentation, or like tutorials for slightly obscure version management systems, are quite hard to come by. So Fossil, what have I learned? What did I learn? Well, let's just see where we are first off. I know where we are, but where did I put my Fossil test? There we go. Excellent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to direction call it. I saw this in an example. I thought it was very cute, because you can store all of these files outside. So fossils, store those in a museum. So oh, right. So yeah, here's the thing I've learned, right? So first off, with Fossil, it all is self-contained within a SQLite database, right? And the getting started guide's pretty not amazing. There's no like very quick sort of succinct modern documentation style. Here's how you get. It's all much more verbose than that. So we go into docs, and we'll see what their docs say. Quick start guide is not that quick. So it's like starting a new project. It doesn't really establish the fact that why did he say that? But either way, I find this hard to pass. So I'm just going to tell you. So inside my museum, what we do basically is we just do Fossil. I think it's Fossil. Was it? Yeah, was it Fossil? Yeah, Fossil in it, like Git. Fossil in it, and you give it a name. You don't have to have a .fossil, but you can. So let's call this one, I don't know, let's call it Veet test, right? Veet test .fossil, okay? Kinder Bueno. And then you've got a default remote access password, but more on that in a second. And then we'll come back out into and then what we'll do is we'll just do code. I keep forgetting to just go straight in here, right? And then what we're going to do is npx what is it? Veet create. Getting started. I always forget this. It is no generic website that every website fucking looks like now. No. There we go. Boom. npx create Veet at latest. I always forget that. Right. So. Okay. What? No, okay. npm install g. What? Huh? Brew install node. It's just half completed. So this is a brand new, well, not brand new. This is an ancient laptop I've repurposed for the purposes of streaming. But being an ancient MacBook, it's shit. So probably needs like a reinstall or something. Look at all those hash signs, all those little stylized bumholes. There we go. Excellent. That was fun to watch. Hurry up, hurry up. How's your day going? Is it good? Good. Because I'd broken Homebrew yesterday. Somehow I'd broken Homebrew yesterday. I just need to probably like do this again, but reinstall macOS, because this is like a very old. It's like a new profile, but on a very battered macOS installation. Because I tend to sort of like play too much sometimes. Though I owned a Windows machine. Oh shit! By matter of just existing, every like couple of years, you'd have to reinstall Windows, right? Or occasionally, just the thing to do, because they slowly sort of accrue stupidity and become bullshit. macOS doesn't do that. If you leave it alone, it'll be fine forever, because it's like actually a good OS. But if you fuck with it too much, then my god. Oh, hang on. What are we doing? There we go. What? The name? I can't be asked. So, what is our problem here? Right. Well, we don't use Veet then. We'll do something else. Because I can't be bothered to fix this. I can do this off stream. So, is this just like Node not working? Okay. Let's fuck it, whatever. Yeah. Right. Okay. That sucks. So what are we going to do to demonstrate this? Right, so let's go back to museum. Oh great, yeah, because that's not on here. Okay, right, what we're gonna do, we're gonna jump into the main thing, right? So I'm gonna go into this museum, and we're gonna do the actual thing that we're here to do, right? Instead of doing an example first. What we're gonna do is, oh hello. We're gonna do fossil in it. I'm gonna call this one dots.fossil. Plural. Dots.fossil, because I don't have any of my dot files on here, so doing work on it is horrendous. So let's do this cd code and or do I just sort of like directly do it in? Right, let's just do it like this first. I'll copy it manually. That's fine. Oh dicks, hang on. Dots. There we go. Hey, so now, right, restart my tutorial. So yeah, Fossil doesn't need to live in the same directory. It's just a SQLite database. So it doesn't need to live next to or inside. Like inside the repository, right? It can be completely separate. So what we do is we go fossil, open, and we've put this inside our museum because that's a very cute name for it. Museum, and then it's called dots.fossil, right? So now we've connected to our fossil DB. Our fossil, whatever, yeah, fossil DB, I guess, right? Excellent. Fantastic. So over to the left-hand side screen that you can't see, I have my actual, like a downloaded from Git of my actual dot file. I'm going to start my use your words, ZSHRC, thank you. So we go touch .zshrc and cac. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to go in here. In fact, actually, I've got Zellige. Have I got Zellige? Hang on. Zellige. Brew install Zellige. It's going to work. Brew link Zellige. Okay, and then source. Oh. Source. HRC. Presumably it puts something in there. Don't actually know. Zellage. Hey, excellent. Right, so Zellage sort of works. Great. So, CAC. And we should have... Oh, that's not there because my dot files aren't here, so I can't open the thing directly. Right, hang on. So, CAC. Thank you very much. Right, so, we're going to create... That's not the default keyboard shortcut. Oh, God, this must be tedious to watch. What is it? No, is it Alt-N? Alt-N. Is that one? Okay, hang on. Prompt... Okay, and then keyboard keys, general. Where is it? I need to set so my Alt can go through. Use Option key as meta key. There we go. Perfect. So Alt-N. There we go. Right. So now what we can do, getting there very slowly, we can go CD, and then that's in just downloads, dot files. Yes. Dot files main, there we go. I'm going to do CAC dot underscore. Hey, there we go. I'm going to grab that. I don't have a keyboard shortcut for clipboard access. So what we're going to do is do this. Can't do that. Okay. Is that going to even work? That's not going to work. Oh my God. Right, okay. We're going to stop doing that. Stop doing this. Right. We're just going to move it. So, right, we're going to do, where are we? Dot files main. So, we're going to move downloads, dot files main to dots underscore ZSHRC to, where is this? This is in code dots. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Right. Okay. So. Oh, caca. That's not right. Dot. Hooray! Right. There we go. Look at that. Wonderful. Let's just get rid of that. Oh, that's a custom keyboard shortcut. Right. Let's just actually. the first thing we should totally do here. I don't have anything installed. Do I have anything installed? I don't think I have anything installed. I'm going to have to do this manually. Hang on. Wait. Let's just do this. Right. So, what I'm going to do... What are you doing? What are you doing? Right. Actually, let's just do this. Okay. Alias FOSS equals fossil. That's the contents of this CAC dot. I could have pressed up, but whatever. Isn't it weird how when you're not set up right, you just sort of don't, you know? Okay. Do I have Zoxide? That's a good question. I don't think I do. So, actually, do I have Helix installed? Let's just do this quickly in Helix. So let's just do brew install Helix. Only because it's got clipboard copying, make my life a little bit easier. But anyway, in the meantime, what we got? We already have a file in here, right? I don't have Zoxide installed. Dots. Right, so what we can do is fossil add. So we're going to add the, what have we got? What's in here actually? First, ls. Dot, right, so what we're going to do is we're going to rename that quickly. So we've got dot, so let's call that one dot ZSHRC. There we go. Perfect. Oh. Huh? Weird. Should have done the actual setup of this off stream. Anyway, the point still remains. I'm looking at the wrong fucking place. So documents. Let's go up from there. We're gonna go into stream, and then we go into code. We go to dots. There we go. .zshrc. So I can't actually. Anyway, point is right. So the actual tutorial. I'm gonna have to fix my dot file offline, to be honest, because this is way too annoying. So what we're gonna do is a fossil, and then we're gonna just do add. So same as git. So we've attached this directory to our actual fossil instance, I guess, or fossil whatever. So fossil add, right, and then we're gonna go .zshrc. Perfect, wonderful. Then fossil status. So just like git, we've got added, tags trunk, which is basically that's your main. It's just so a similar language to whatever. So that the leaf and branch stuff. So they've got the trunk of the tree, right? I personally don't like trunk, but whatever, it's fine. I can get on with it. And then you've got your little reference, and then I'm just going to do fossil. Oh, so slow. Fossil, right? Commit, and then very very familiar. Added.zshrc. There we go. Wonderful. We've made a commit. So far, that's it. So here's where it actually gets kind of interesting. So all that looks effectively exactly like git with some words changed, but it is different. So here's where it starts to get different. The first one, and one of my favorite ones, is I do this fossil UI, and then there's this for a start. So so fossil has this built in. This is actually running from my fossil file, right? So I have my little commit history here, right? A timeline. Cute. Very cute. There's my whatever. So it goes, if you open it, it will take you to your latest bit of action. So that will take you here. But you go here, you get your full timeline. We only got one thing so far, right? So my initial empty check-in, user stream, whatever, and you get information. You get an inline diff. So if I make a change to this, so let's go back to here, and then I'm going to do cac zshrc, and then what we'll do is we'll just be like, oh, this is so slow. Yeah, so I'm not near everyone here. Yeah, that's fine. FCJ, don't know what that is. Get rid of that. So let's say we made a couple of changes, right? Whatever. Come back to it's just a float. So then we're going to say we've already added the file, so there's no staging area, right? So it automatically tracks the changes to the file. So I don't need to re-add this file now. So if I go add, it won't tell me off, but I don't need to do it. But what I can do now is fossil status, right? Status, and it will say edited, right? So now I just commit. So same thing again. Fossil commit, and then we do standard, and then we go chain, whatever. Like we're going to delete this anyway. Removed some stuff I did not need, or whatever my commit message is, right? Wonderful. Come back to here. Go back to my timeline. There we go. All very straightforward. So, what haven't I done? I haven't pushed. I haven't pulled. Everything it auto syncs basically. So every time if this file were to be on the server, you just set a remote, right? Once you've set a remote, and that's the same database file, it runs self-contained, right? So it's just that is the little file server. It runs self-contained. So once I've got a remote, every time I commit, like SVN, it will just try and push it. If it fails, that's fine. It will just fail. And next time it's on. So either I can carry on working, and then next time I can do manually fossil sync, right, which will first pull then push, or next time I commit and I'm back on the internet, it will just continue. So what happens is every time you make a change, it pushes it automatically. First it'll see if any new changes, pull those, then push straight away. Okay. So you avoid that entire checkout. Well, you can check stuff out, but if you avoid that entire push-pull thing, it just happens automatically. When you get an actual conflict, it allows both to exist, right? So you just get an instant merge, and the merging, which I can't be asked to demonstrate, but because I don't think I can even demonstrate it actually without really doing it, because again, it just happens straight away. I can't really, unless I sort of sync up and save at an identical time, kind of thing. But yeah, yeah, if I have an issue, all I do is I get my diff. It will allow both to happen. Both can exist, but you can't make any further commits until, which they call check-ins, until it's been resolved, right? So the resolutions, the idea I think is the resolutions tend to be far less frequent, but also when they're there, they're non-blocking and they're small. So you won't get a massive thing, whatever. You'll just have to deal with it straight away. Deal with it more immediately. The next part of it is when it comes to branches, right? So I think the idea is branches are supposed to be, I think they're supposed to be longer lived, right? I've not used, this is like me pissing about for a few hours in an evening, right? So I've not got a feel for this yet, but so I do the standard thing. I go fossil branch new, and then I say my new branch will be like, I don't know, add let's just say add cocoon, right? So I want to do this on a branch for some reason. I wouldn't, in the case of dot files, you wouldn't do this anyway, but add cocoon, and I'm going to say trunk, right? So base new name basis, press enter, right? And then I've got to do fossil what was it, fossil update, so it's always update, and then it will be add cocoon, right? So now, so if I do fossil branch, I'm now on add cocoon, right? Fantastic. So let's just go and change something. Let's just go here and be like, yeah, let's just get rid of this helix shorthand. Let's do that. Edit. Yeah, so we want to update these. So this is an actual real legitimate change. So if I go to here, this is so slow. This is so slow. Right, and then to do this. Oh, that doesn't work. All right, fine. Very annoying when you haven't got your thingy. Do that, and then change that for CAC. Excellent. Right, so we've got, oops, so slow. Right, and then we've got our change, right? So now we just do, so it's already tracking the file, so we don't have to add it again. So we just do fossil commit, and then we just say, oh my gosh, what's going on? This is very slow. There's a massive delay my end. This terminal does not like Xellage on this computer. Right, and then we're going to say, yeah, changed, edit things to cocoon from helix. From helix, can't type. Fossil. Well, of course you wouldn't find it because excellent. Right, so now again, already pushed, give it a thing, we've now got a new branch, right? So I think normally the way you do it is you're supposed to like branch as you create. That's the intended workflow, but I've done it like a way that's very sort of a Git person way of doing it, right? So I think you can just do commit like and then slash hyphen branch to create a new branch with the commit, right? Anyway, I'm on a branch and I've decided this is done, right? This is done. So I do branch, and normally you delete a branch. And this is another thing I think as core to the workflow is you don't really revise history, I think, in Fossil. The idea is you just move on. And then if you close off a branch, it gets hidden, but you just sort of move on, and I think it just falls away. So I do Fossil. So instead, so I could merge this. If I had made some changes, I could merge this back into whatever. Let's not merge it for now. Let's do this. So fossil branch close. Oh, fossil branch close. Add cocoon. Excellent. So now this branch is closed. So I can just go fossil update trunk, and there we go. That's been reloaded. But also, wow, I have fossil undo, because you can undo changes. So you can revise history. You do have amend, but you're not like, it's not something you tend to do as much. Or things like I use tower. Tower's great because it remembers when you create a stash, it remembers where it came from, because a stash is saved with, like, stash is not saved with history by default. In Fossil it is. When you do stashes, they're saved with history. But also, yeah, if I go back into it, I'm not going to do the undo. I'm going to leave it as it is, right? So it changes one file was modified. So now if I come into here and I just reload this, right, that file's changed automatically. So now we're going, oh, actually, you know what? Let's just I made a mistake, whatever. But my branch is gone. No, it's not. It's just a type of tag, right? So this would normally fall away, okay, pretty quickly. So now I'm back on quote unquote main, on trunk. So if then I go into here and do fossil branch, branch reopen, add cocoon. But actually, before we do that, let's do fossil branch. It's not there anymore, right? So if we go fossil branch reopen, add cocoon. And now I've re-edited it, and I think, if memory serves, it will save its history. No, it doesn't actually. That's interesting. But yeah, I think if I'd like moved on, but yeah, basically, I can. If an experiment is a thing, instead of deleting a branch and the work's gone, or like just letting it trail off, you can close it so it gets hidden, right? But if you decide to reopen it, you can still find it in the history. You can still find it. But if you decide later on you want to go back to that work, you just do that. And you open it up and the branch just boop, pops back into existence again. And everything in the meantime, it will try and auto-sync back down and merge in all of the changes, right? So if I'd gone further ahead and done a bunch of stuff, it would have automatically pulled down everything else. No rebase, no nothing like that. Just it will just carry on. The idea is, at least, I've not used it in practice. This is like, I'm a lay person in this right now, so take it with a pinch of salt. And that is most of all of it. Merging works the way you'd expect. It's just branch, merge, whatever. So now we're on here. Fossil, branch, merge. What was it? Well, oh no, actually we're not. So branch, fossil, update, add cocoon. Okay, and then there we go, perfect. Come back to here. Give it a reload. There we go. Our changes are back. And then now we do fossil, branch. I think it's fossil merge, isn't it? It's fossil, I don't know if it's fossil. That's right. It's merge. Merge. That's a good question, actually. Do I need to? I forget. No, yeah, merge. Merge. Add cocoon. Actually, see what the docs say, because these actually seem to be pretty good. No merge forks of. Okay, right. So actually, we need to go version fossil version trunk, and then we're going to go fossil merge add cocoon, and then it might. Let's have a look. I can't remember this off the top of my head because I haven't done it much yet. Excellent. Right, there we go. So now. Oh, that what? No, hang on a second. Wait, what did I say? Oh, fossil. That's why I didn't know anything. Fossil. I keep writing version. Fossil. Update. So, version. Update. I was doing this last night as well. Update trunk, and then there we go. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is fossil merge add. Okay. There we go. Wonderful. And now. Right. Huh? Trunk. Transaction started. New commits. Hang on. What am I doing wrong here? Quick start. Merge. No, that is right. So first on merge. Oh, right. Okay. Most characters are now up. Okay, so yeah, fossil commit. Oh, merged, add Whatever. Oh, Nano. Pico, even worse. Oh, there's a Control X. Yes. 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 Excellent. So. Whoop. There we go. Got there in the end. Forgot to merge it. Forgot to commit it. There we go. So. We've done a merge. Amazing. So that's the core workflow. But here's where things get even more spicy and interesting, right? So you can do multi-way mergers in here. You can merge 3 paths into one because all the stuff around it just reflows and resyncs automatically. But also, one thing that I find very compelling here is, like, if you see this, there's other things here, right? So we've only got one branch right now. We've got this, but there we've got resolutions. We've got a lot of the GitHubby stuff. This is all in one, and it's very much internal tool looking, but functionally superb. Awful UX, but we have no tags, but we have a forum, we have a chat room, we have a ticketing system, which is also quite bare bones but works, and a wiki. Right, as well as full user management here. This is in one file. This is portable. Okay, so what we can do that's pretty interesting is if we go to our timeline and we go to let's go to this, right? Excellent. What we can do is boop, added in that feature we all wanted, right? And then looks like crap, but save and close. There we go. Wonderful. Go back to our timeline, and we should. Oh, do we not have that? Hang on, did that not work? Am I being dumb? Wiki list. Did I save it? I didn't save it. Ah. So timeline. What we're going to do? Leave check-in. We're going to do add wiki. Like coon. Blah 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 blah. Save and close. Did that work? Yes, there we go. That's there. So now go back to the timeline, and there should be. Oh, I've done it wrong around. Okay, right. What we're going to do? We'll do this the other way around because again, low familiarity with the system. In my defense, so go back to the top, and then we're just going to change something else in here. What are we going to change? We're going to just do like we're not using chez moi anymore. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Right, and also lazy git, not using that either. So let's get rid of that. We don't need it. Right, cool. And then so what we're going to do is go back into here. And then same thing again. We should be on trunk now on main. So fossil commit removed some git based stuff. I don't know. Right, perfect. So now we've got this thing here. Go into here. That's the point I'm trying to get to. There we go. So if I do add wiki, this check in. Don't need git stuff now. Fossil is the future. Spelt wrong. Save and close. Right, so now back in the timeline. That's why I've set this to check-in. So this is the point I'm getting to. So I've got this. So it turns to any type. There we go. Perfect. That's why I couldn't see it before, because the UX of this is disgusting. But yeah, so check-ins is what they call commits. But if I change it to any type, we can see here, right? So when we've, and this is why I was confused a bit earlier about not seeing this, is we've had an artifact. So when we opened and closed it, it has the history of when we opened and closed it. We've also got, obviously, the merge. We've got the wiki page. So this has a wiki attached to it, right? So we've got this artifact ID. There we go. There's our actual commit. Right, has a thing attached to it, which is crazy cool. So that's now all linked up together. Very, very fancy. And the same thing works with tickets. So if I open and close tickets, it can appear in this timeline. The other thing that's a little bit bananas about this is, so this is a global event list, not just your commits, but they're all linked together and are all interlinked in a way that's very, very clever. Problem with that being is these tools themselves are a little bit rustic. But they do work. So I do a new ticket, and it looks like this, right? Functional, but whatever. But either way, that aside, it's very cool. But here's the thing, right? The other thing that makes it super interesting is it's a database, right? Boop. I haven't dug into this yet, but I know you can do it. Because it's a database, you can query it like a database. Do you know why? Because it's SQLite. It's just a database. So you can like do all of your crazy ass querying stuff in natural language, regular SQL, right here. Well, SQL, yeah, SQLite flavored SQL. But yeah, you've got a database. So that means that you can build these things, and also this is extensible. This interface, right? So it means that you can build your own views, build your own charts, build your own burn downs pretty easily. But also you have quite a lot of control. So let's go into one of these commits. Let's go remove the stuff I don't need, whatever. And what we can also do, so we get all the good stuff. We get rid of that. We've got like inline, whatever. You get your diff inline, which is actually really, really sick. This page is actually great. I think this is like fantastic. Other links. What's in the mlink table? I haven't looked at this. But also there's things like it'll track descendants of changes as well, so you can see like what's the parent of this. So if you see the commits before, those parents for it. But yeah, also here we go. So timelines, ancestors, and descendants. So the family, there we go. Parents and children will check in. That's pretty nuts, right? And it's very, very cool. One thing I was looking at here is if we go into timeline, go into, I think it's, yeah, so here, and then you go into edit. So you can change the history. So don't like this, made it more different, right? Plus you can then say when it happened, you can then say background color, propagate color to descendants, so you can then set a color that links all the way through. You can then start a new check-in from here. You can also close and open a branch from here. Right? Apply changes. So I lied, but it keeps its history. So change edit things to Cocoon from Helix. Don't like this, made it more different. So it keeps a history of these changes still. So when I said earlier, I was sort of lying when I said you can't change history here. You can, but it keeps the existing history. So nothing gets hidden, nothing gets lost. So the example, I watched a talk with what's his name, the SQL guy, the SQLite guy, Rob something Hip, and he was like, in their use case scenario for this, they'll have like so the way the SQLite people make money, because it's an open source project, but it's like run almost like a commercial venture. Famously, if you know anything about SQLite, they're a bit religious and also a little bit secretive, and only a handful of people. It's not really open source, right? It's like we go off and just do the thing, and here it is, right? Apart from, which sounds awful on paper, apart from they're really, really fucking good at it. So, and SQLite's got this history of delivering an awful lot of changes quickly, delivering fixes quickly, being very, very rock solid, being very bug free, very dependable. It's like literally, it's critical infrastructure sort of stuff. It's a database to start with, but also it's the most popular and arguably the most important database there is, right? So yeah, they know what they're doing, and the way they make their money commercially is they sell consulting. So if we go to SQLite, SQLite.org. Let's not go to the code of ethics because that's depressing. But yeah, so we've got like all the version history, whatever. Excellent, right? And then yeah, we've got one from just a few days ago. And they've added a shitload, right? Because that's just how they kind of roll. But if we go to, I can't remember what it is. They've got oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Bentley Micro. Oh, Bentley. Huh. Yeah, public domain, everyone can use for any purpose, but they don't really run it like a traditional thing. Also, because they wrote Fossil for this, because when they go support. So pay professional support. There's D. Richard Hip. I can't remember where it says, but I remember it's like thousands of dollars, right? So you pay them X number of $1,000, and that's, I think, basically how they keep the lights on, right? Is that consulting, which is absolutely the correct thing to do. Their all that sort of stuff. Like, but the point is, the example he gave was this guy, D. Richard Hip, said, when they speak to a customer and they say, we have this problem from 2 years ago, right? We need to update SQLite for XYZ legitimate reason, feature or security or whatever thing. can you help us? Which is again how they make their money. And he said, well, because it's it's a project that gets a lot of changes. There's lots of churn and movement, as there is with everything, right? Every long-lived tool or piece of software. And he says, but to get the context of what change went in, what got broken, where we're at with this, we'd have to then figure out where those documents live, figure out where that information lives, right? Normally, but when you have the entire history, including all of the tangents from 2 years ago, because I can't remember what I was doing 2 years ago, I can just search for it in Fossil, and not only can I get the change, but like I can go to the date of release, and I can it's much more queryable because it's just SQL, and also I can see that, but not only that, but I can see all of the context around it, all of our thought processes and everything we're doing, because we don't hide that history. We let it be a stream of consciousness, so we get a very good idea of the context of how a feature came around just by looking at the commit history, which is fucking awesome. Because like so much of what happens in like commercial development is wringing your hands over process and like all this sort of stuff in order to ultimately get that context, get that understanding of why is this like this, where did this come in, like how does bug, like sometimes how does bug occur, right? Things like git blame exist in part to say who did this, right? Obviously. But that's not the context, right? Because you've got all of the other stuff that's going on around it. So when the system's integrated, albeit these tools are, but when your wiki entries, which is your documentation, live in your commit history, when your ticket system lives in your commit history, and when it was closed and all that sort of stuff, and you have one timeline that shows all of it, that's fucking bananas. It's really cool. And like, even though, again, I think that these tools are, especially this ticketing systems, very, very clunky. The forum is probably fine. The wiki is a wiki, whatever. The wiki's the least offensive thing here, right? But the ticket system, even if that is sort of slightly suboptimal, all of this mechanic we've built around managing these workflows manually is to get back to a place where we can effectively do this. Right? So the amount of like, status of things moving through motion inside Jira to basically track the context of how things move through your development team, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it goes broad in the development teams. I'm not trying to oversimplify. I mean, I'm a little bit for the purpose of conversation, but I'm not saying it's as simple as this, but I'm saying how much further an idea like this can take you to sort of like, and the way of thinking about it is actually pretty fucking cool. So a lot of that sort of manual process and whatever, you can kind of, I mean, there's no formal merge review tools in here, I don't think. That's a good question, actually. Yeah, so because I think the idea of this is, right, like here's the other thing, which, again, I'm not trying to say like I'm D. Richard Hit-pilled, but he said some stuff that's, and he said some stuff that made a lot of sense to me. It was like, and it's not like people keep saying like, I read another thing which said like, this is very much not invented here, and I get it, right? But then also Git is a not invented here thing, right? It's a case of they had some very peculiar circumstances and they had like some commercial tooling. They didn't want to pay for it and all this sort of stuff, licensing problems. And so they wrote their own thing. It was thrown together quite quickly. But also the problem Git was built to solve is one of a scale that most companies do not experience, right? If you think about your average size of development team, the vast majority of businesses, you're talking maybe like, I don't know, on a single code base, maybe between 1 and 25 developers, right? Normally, maybe 50. Yeah. If there's 20 of you, most of you on first name terms, right? So there's a degree to which a lot of the sort of things that Git has thousands of literally not Git, sorry. Well, Git does as well now, but at the time, the Linux kernel had thousands of contributors, right? And if you look at Linux overall, you must be talking tens of thousands of people contribute to Linux, right? So you've got this massive volume of stuff, and in smaller teams, some of that is less necessary than maybe you feel like it is. Like how much time you spend sat in meetings to talk about the process to get code over the line, which is not, I'm not saying to devalue it as an unimportant thing. It's a very important thing to make sure you get it right. But if some of that has gotten right on your behalf, And the main thing is always about understanding context of why things are the way they are. This actually helps quite a lot. It's an impressive foundation for a system like this, and I'd love to see one, but I imagine there's some very interesting modifications of this because I've not read the docs extensively yet. My understanding is this is bare bones, not by its nature, because this is like good enough. There's actually apparently quite a lot you can do with this. It's pretty open what you can do with this web interface. I'm interested to see how far people have taken it. But yeah, in terms of like the fundamentals, we've got, yes, it's crap. But if you go to, what's it called? Free Fossil SCM hosting. It's called, what's it called? Chisel app, thank you. Chisel app. Fossil SCM hosting. I think it's like I think it's pretty much the only gig in town for this, or one of the very few, because it's not super popular. Let's look at an actual real repo, right? This is a bad one. This is a bad one. This is very bare bones. It's not great. Let's go down the list. Let's find something interesting. Chicken agar. Don't know what that is. Let's look at something old. We'll do. So I don't know what that is. We'll do that, and then we'll do. I don't know if any of these are actually useful. Let's have a look. So timeline. Is this empty? Please don't be empty. That one's fucking empty, isn't it? Oh, not much in there. Let's look at. Is there a bigger one? Timeline. Bollocks. Who's using this for open source stuff? It's tiny. Right. Let's look at. I found a few the other day. Okay, let's just open a couple more. We'll just find more. Just not hello world. That sounds awful. iWidgets. Right. Here we go. Look at this. This looks like a functioning project. It's not. For that. Hey, that's a bit better. Right, 50 most recent check-ins. So let's just do that and do any type, and we'll see if they're using it more fully. They're not. Add previously missing themes, very large. 2013. So yeah. Come on, you little shit. Free. But yeah, look at this. This is really cool. So files, a bit slow. Let's close some of these down. I think. Is this it? Is this the one? Come on. Oh, come on. I didn't say this bit was good. Who knows? Oh, it's slow. I think this is like really bad. I think I'm actually hammering this. I doubt this is the one. But anyway, the point is, when you go and host this as well, you just basically upload that file. So I create an account on here. Is this my one? No, it's not. It's a Chisel. Let's close that down because that's clearly crap. But yeah, so you get to see like these lists of files, all your branches and your status, all that sort of stuff. I've not got any tags. I'd like to see a more functional. Actually, let's do SQLite Fossil. Let's see theirs. That's probably the best. MySQL does not use Git. Uses Fossil instead. Can we see? No? Timeline? Oh, that'll do. Alright. And put on some modern view. There we go. Max 200. Yeah, look at that. Wonderful. This is. I didn't think of going to SQLite. So yeah, here we go. This is like that full history. But we're just looking against. I think we're just on check-ins right now. So if we change this to wiki, I'm sure they might have something on here. They do. There we go. Change this to wiki page, whatever. So we've got this entire unified history. Is there working? There is. Working forum. Not much in there. Tickets. Hey, there we go. New tickets. We've got all of this interesting stuff. So yeah, you can create. I think you can create a ticket directly from the command line, which is pretty cool. Or you can. I think you can update ticket status as well. You can close them. I think from the command line as well. So this one's open. Do you have a ticket history? We don't on that one. But that's pretty nuts, right? And if you do any type, you get to see all of this in one grand unified timeline. And I love a timeline. So yeah, artifact. There we go. That one's a check-in. That's a check-in. That's a check-in. That's a leaf check-in. So leaf is basically the last thing on the branch, right? The end of the branch. And that's still open, but you can just move on, right? And if I were to open this back up again, everything forward of this would just get like sunk backwards to this point where possible, with no manual rebasing required. Apparently it works extremely well, but I need to use this in anger on a real thing to get a feel for it. Plus, on top of that, you can run. It sounds like a sales pitch, but I'm finding it really fascinating as a tool that I've never really spent time with. But yeah, also it's got some cross compatibility with Git, so you can like create Git mirrors. I think certain things with tags don't work, so Git tags are a single boop blop in time. I think multiple things can be assigned to tags, or multiple like check-ins can be part of a tag inside Fossil. Is there that? There we go. Hey, so I got code, so we can see we've got all the files themselves. Is this just, what is this? Is this the Fossil of Fossil? I don't know if it is. What other pages they got? Oh, they've got a dark mode. Activity reports, developer forum. We've got tags. Look at this. There we go. Yeah, we've used the tag release. Is that 80? Yeah, there we go. So you can reuse tags. It's a really cool system. It just looks like shit. There we go. So yeah, JSON add tag test. So yeah, instead of having a tag, you can see what they're attached to. You can attach to multiple things. So see most recent. It's pretty cool, guys. And picture sandbox. Don't know what that means. Don't know what any of that means. Developer forum. Is there a forum? Doesn't get much use. I don't see why that would be useful. But yeah, so you've got a chat room, all that sort of stuff. So really bare bones. But actually, when it comes to this timeline, this is insane. This is like some of the coolest shit. So it's like you've got a really fully featured, searchable DB-based version of Git that is very, very fast. Automatically keeps all your changes in sync. Anecdotally, what I'm hearing from early readings is merging is lovely. There seems to be no formal like PR workflow here, but then I think that's something, I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work. But that's just really just a matter of process, isn't it? Really, ultimately, we've all circled around PRs as a concept, but a PR is just really a fancy merge, isn't it? So yeah. That's like the basics of it. Again, you can do things like stashes. I think you can have private branches as well, is my understanding. So you can have a branch that just isn't publicly available. So if you just want to experiment with something, you can do it. Yeah, and also if you have if you do a stash, I think the stash remembers its place in time and history rather than just being some files in a box, which is very cool. Which is a thing that I find quite a lot, because in my own sort of like, again, like if you're working for a company and doing development, you just do what you're told, right? You just do whatever they say is how you do it. That's how you do it, right? But when I'm on my own, what I sort of tend to do is I play with ideas. I have branches I open to experiment, specifically to experiment on. But very quickly, and they get stale. And it's like there's certain kind of good ideas in there. There could be like some complete bullshit. You know what I mean? It might be like, I might have a branch which is like, let me have a go at implementing, I don't know, like one of my recent projects is like, how do you manage virtual scrolling and multiple lists on one page, but also try and have the history work when the page is constructed with a bunch of params, which is a completely failed experiment. But there's some interesting stuff in there, right? That branch lives there under a name, and apart from like knowing it's there and then going through the history, where I've gone sort of stream of consciousness again, because I know it's like a throwaway branch in a personal project that no one's going to see, and I'm like, I have no greater context besides that, right? But also my option to get it out of my face is to close it. I use Tower. Tower's really cool, generally for Git, and one of the things it does, it allows you to archive, which basically just removes, it's got a couple of killer features, but the one I really like is like you get to archive branches, which means it doesn't get deleted, it's get removed from your view, right? But functionally this does the same thing. So if I wanted to look at like a bunch of branches that have specifically been closed, I think you can do it like this. You can go If we just do file browser, if we do branches, I think there must be some way of seeing. Hang on, it might be in the tags. So we do tags. No, I don't know if I figure out how to see this. Tags, check-ins, closed. There we go, closed leaves. So yeah, you can just give up on these things, right? But you've still got them, and you've still got a nice view where you can see them all, right? But I'm pretty sure if I go into one of these, let's go into this one here. Yeah, there we go. There's the context. Excellent. Now, presumably, I can probably... How would I do this? I probably... 1522. I'm not a robot. Bleep bloop. There we are. There he is. Wonderful. Now, if you've got like a denser period of time, you can see more of this context as well. It's really cool. Because you can just close stuff off. I would use that all the time. So far, in my early, having barely... I've not used this in Anger at all yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my dot files first, which was originally the plan of this stream, but I'm going to fix my dot files on this computer off stream and also figure out how to get the terminal running faster, because goddamn. But do dot files and then pull over a real project that has a bit of meaningful Git history in it, because apparently you can transfer the history over. I'll see how that works. Use it in Anger for a little while and then gather my thoughts around it. It's really goddamn interesting, and like the learning curve between this and Git is very low. One thing it doesn't really have, there's no like, if you're like I'm generally a Git GUI boy. Normally I'm like use an app, so I use Tower. Like I said, I really like Tower, but also it's like, I think it's like $100 a year or something. That when you think about it, you know, I think there's one for Fossil, but this is built in and also extremely like powerful. So it's not just a case of this is just a web view. This is actually the data. So I think when you let's go to the artifact. No, that's a, again, if I was to use this, I would probably put a good amount of time into improving this whole business. But what's this? Manifests, ancestors, descendants, both. Oh. This is very cool, very cool. But yeah, if you go into, well, I can't edit this. Let's go into mine. Where is that? Where's my guy? My guy. Localhost. Is it that? Excellent. Right. So go into here. Edit. Yeah. Background color. What does that do? Make it. No, let's not make it poo green. Let's make it that red. Preview. Don't know why I do that. Wonderful. Apply changes. Excellent. Back to the timeline. I can't remember what I did. Let's just do this. Oh, change background color on what? Artifact. This. Remove some Git stuff. I don't know. There we go. There's my color. Hey. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And the inline diff's also very nice. I like that a lot. So yeah, seems to be most of the command line level stuff. So I'm pretty sure you could do... Let's just try this out quickly. So if I create a change here, I'm going to just close down my server for now. And then what I'm going to do is come over here, and then I'm going to just like change something else. I don't use Yabai anymore. Where is it? Yabai or SKHD, because that was a failed experiment. Let's go with that. So if I just do this and I go fossil, let's see what fossil diff does. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Well, there you go. Then you could probably pipe it into like BAT or whatever to give us some syntax highlighting or whatever. But let's do another. Let's do. No, we got one file in here. Okay, so yeah, a lot of the stuff like fossil, Fusil. This delay is real, by the way. It's infuriating. So yeah, fossil. So yeah, so far, and I'm not like any sort of like Git hardcore expert. You know, I'm a very garden variety. I know how to push and pull type Git person. I don't know all the crazy Git foo. But again, this feels like the Git foo isn't there, right? But the learning curve on this is extremely low so far, and I'm going to use it in anger and get myself in trouble with it, or attempt to get myself in trouble with it, work with it for a little while, and actually form a better opinion. My take, or it's whether that auto sync stuff works as seamlessly as you'd like. But yeah, you can still cherry pick. You can still, they've got things here which I don't really get what they do. So you've got pull and push, but I don't know what that would do. I don't know what patch would do. I've got rebase. No, it hasn't. Repack, revert. I've used amend. So you can also use undo. So undo keeps like a buffer. So you can, if you undo something, you can also redo it. So when you, let's say for example, like we go, so we'll go to like a fossil branch new Dave trunk, right? A new branch called Dave, and then we'll just do fossil update Dave. Fossil update Dave. Excellent, right? And we make a change here. So we'll come over here, and then we'll go and remove. Let's just do. This is painful to watch. Let's get rid of that. We don't want no PHP in here. There we go. Wonderful. Come over to here, and we'll just do fossil status. Excellent. Right. So now, if we then move back, so if you go back to, so I think it's going to be fossil update trunk. Okay, let's go back. Let's just do this. I've got it already. Fossil update Dave, and then we'll do fossil commit. I don't know. Oh god. Try that again. There we go. Excellent. So then we go to fossil update trunk. There we go. So fossil undo. So so we've got a change, right? So we can undo this. So fossil undo is available to undo changes in the working checkout. So we'll do fossil. So see how we've reloaded. We've got this fossil undo. Excellent. So come over here, and it remains gone. But if we go over here and do fossil redo, it should. Did it? Reload. I can't remember how to reload now. It didn't do it. Anyway, point is, fossil. That's why. Oh, fossil. Fossil redo. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. And there we go. Back. So let's have a look at. Can we do this again? Fossil undo. Yes, you can. Excellent. So I've occasionally been stung by this when I've got like a little working copy bit of fluff, and I'm like, oh, and you sort of stash it, and then you move and you reapply and whatever. Just that juggling, that accounts for a lot of that as well. So yeah, my early impressions of it have been extraordinarily positive, to be honest. And again, the learning curve so far is you can just sort of like tap around. I think the first thing that confused me weirdly to put me off is the documentation I didn't gel with. I'm used to like, I don't know if it's like, it's definitely a me problem. Like I know if other people bounce off certain documentation, but it's not written in a way that they would like expect, I guess. There's like a prevalent style of documentation writing on the internet for technical stuff, and if something isn't quite like that, I'm like, but yeah, once I got past that, you just start tapping around, and then you go, oh, this is very familiar. Oh, wow, that's really nice. And yeah, my main experience with this so far has been extremely positive. So yeah, that's that. I mean, I think, yeah, use it for dot files, use it for a real project, and then at some point I'll come back with my impressions, and there might even be a video. At very least, I'm writing myself up just to myself to start with. A little cheat sheet to say like, here's how this goes. Just, you know, a lot of the docs I've found on the internet are either quite old or in the context of a specific business. I think it's one of those things where there is some adoption of this. I don't know how many people actually use it, but it's always, because it's not sexy. It's like, I mean, it's profoundly not sexy, but it'll be very much in like that sort of internal business domain thing. So, but you know, your influencer type person or whatever is not going to be talking about it that much, which is fine. Because, you know, sometimes good things aren't popular, and so far this seems to be very, very good. Because I don't hate Git, but Git for everyone I think is like a necessary evil, and I do like the idea of projects that I have. I'm fine with self-hosting, and being in charge of all of that. That's okay, especially when the hosting of this is so simple. Again, if you just wham up, so I think effectively, if the VPS has enough, like I think it's like CGI or something, but as long as the VPS can run it, if you just like start the file up, and then point this, I think basically, yeah, I think as long as it can run there, you just run, I think it's like Fossil server, and it will just start running, and then once you point at the remote, automatically all the Fossil instances will start transacting with it, and you're done. And apparently that's the extent of the configuration. And if that was if someone said that to me, normally I'd be very, very skeptical of how well that would work. But when the authors of SQLite say it works like that, I'm probably going to trust them. And if this is like, because also the thing to know about this is it's not new. It's like, well, obviously it's not new. You can see when it came out. This has been around, I think it's like about 5 years younger than Git, I think. So I think it is a response to Git to an extent, and it has got that element of like, again, if you say like something stinks of like not invented here, there's certain tools which are very much a not invented here type thing. I think like you can't write. It's like when everyone says, "Oh, I can't get this to work," and anything is skill issues. It's like, no, that's not useful. You're essentializing. You're taking something which has lots of potential root, you know, and just saying, "Oh, it's this, isn't it?" It's like, no. Like, reality is not that black and white. Stop being on the internet so much. Because, like, yeah, not invented here is definitely a thing. And there's obviously an element of that to this. Of course there is. But also, a lot of not invented here stuff can exist to solve a real problem, right? Versus, I like this but different. We're all susceptible to it. I know I've done it. I'm sort of, you know, I just spent like half a week rebuilding most of what Helix does in Cocoon. That's very much a, you know, and mostly because I like the modifiers and I like the fact that I can do it. That's very much me solving a problem just to me. But that, and you know what? My setup is still not as good as Helix yet. But is it fun? Yes. Is it hurting anyone? No. But when it comes to like this sort of thing, where when he said the context about we can go back X number of years in SQLite's history and we can see all of the context around why he made this decision. The fundamental design of this interface, the UI bit, is absolutely inspired, I think. Again, it's put together and presented horribly. Don't forget, I'm a product designer, so I'm very, very sensitive to this kind of stuff. But yeah, like the core concept of it, I think, is actually genius. It's very, very cool. It's packaged awfully, but you know, it works for them, and they've written it effectively for them and said, look, you can have it too, open source and all that. But the core concept's genius. I'm interested to see how that would actually work. And I think for a lot of businesses at the minute, when over the 2010s, everyone's like, anyone can put on a hyperscaler, like, you know, a unicorn, a darling. You know, we can be one of the big boys. So everyone's sort of tooling up as if they're going to become Netflix overnight, and actually you didn't, because of course you weren't. Because how many Netflixes are there, right? How many Googles are there? How many Ubers are there? How many Facebooks are there? You know, all that tier. Let's go a tier down, right? Even those sort of size businesses, most of them, you know, that's the nature of distribution, right? Not everyone's at the top. Most of you won't be. So when we all started tooling up and putting microservices everywhere and really complexifying. It's not a word, is it? Making the world of like making software really, really complicated for ourselves. One of the things fundamentally, again, I don't have any ill will at all towards Git, really. It's just like a necessary evil. It's a bit annoying. There's times where I'm like, ugh, infuriating. It feels like an arcane science at some points. I've watched people do stuff in Git, and I've literally gone like, I could not. You could describe to me step by step what you've just done, and I still wouldn't fucking understand it. And it's just like about file versioning ultimately. But again, I don't hold it against Git at all. I have nothing really against Git. But what I'm thinking is, a lot of the problems Git was built to solve were problems that we don't have, the royal we, most of us. And I think for BC, you go, oh well, that's just, it's that thing of like, the software industry became the equivalent of like doomsday preppers, right? And you go like, well, yeah, I mean, right now we haven't. It's a meme, right? That thing of like, yo, yeah, we've got 10 microservices for our 4 users, but that thing of like, yeah, so let's do NoSQL because we can let's do like MongoDB or whatever, or DynamoDB because we need it. And the company I just came from stank of that, where it's like that, and it's not a case of it's unique to them or anything like that. It's just more like. Or even a criticism of them really, it's more just sort of like that's just how things go at businesses. Someone will go like, well, this isn't DynamoDB, why? Because at the time, and you go, well, okay, right, so this is like 4 services, does it need to be? No, but that kind of thing exists in every business after a certain amount of time, after a certain scale. And I think those days are sort of not coming to an end, but we are old enough and ugly enough to allow these things to become boring again. And that's one thing I think might be good about this AI era. Can my washing machine? You can't turn this off, by the way. Carry on. There you go. You can't turn that off. It does that every time. Anyway, and now I bet you're wondering why I have a washing machine near me. I'm not going to tell you. But so yeah, I think we're getting to a point where the AI thing, right, is interesting. Hello, in that it sort of puts into more. I think longer term, it puts into more relief where we need to spend the money, right? Because these tools are about to get very, very expensive. The productivity gains for a lot of businesses actually aren't really there. And all the right sizing going on where, I hate the phrase right sizing, but basically people losing their jobs or whatever. I think it's like, what is this? What do you mean? It's a stream. Yeah, all of it is like in part a way of letting software be boring again, because it had a period of being, software was extremely boring in the late 90s for a while. It was very cubicles and beige, and then like there's a big crash with the internet and like .com and all that sort of bust, and it popped back up about 10 years later, right? And then it became sexy and cool again, and then we're on the tail end of that right now. And I think we're going back to it being a bit boring again, but not in a way that's actually that boring. But it's a good time for businesses to start reassessing what matters to them, and maybe looking at other technologies. Not saying it should even necessarily be this, but this is very cool, and it should probably have more eyes on it than it does. So, to go back to what we were doing yesterday, where it's like, should you use? Why is the name leaving me? SVN in the year of our Lord 2026. The answer is definitely no. Because that shit's whack. But also, like, there is this thread of you've got really cool technology that isn't popular, but being popular and being good are not necessarily like related. That whole thing of like history's written by the victors, but the victors could have been evil, right? So anyway, I'm going to finish up there, and everyone have a lovely whatever time of day